Hi, so I did my lesson segment on long vowel sounds, more specifically silent E or magic E, depending on what they call it, and vowel digraphs. For example, AI, EE, EA, OA, and then the silent E with long vowel sounds like A blank E or I blank E or O blank E. So for lesson number 1, I focused on the silent E words, such as cake or bake. For lesson number 2, I focused on the vowel digraphs in words like boat and coat, words like train, words like beach. And then lesson 3, I did kind of a joint lesson where I focused on both. And then I assessed my focus learner on both the silent E words as well as the vowel digraph words. So for lesson number 1, I started off with a review of vowel sounds. They've been learning a lot about short vowel sounds, especially my focus learner and his. We do something called foundations in class. So he's been working on vowel sounds, but short vowel sounds. So I wanted to review the short vowel sounds so that I could show him the difference between the short and the long vowel sounds to help him with the learning segment. So we reviewed our foundations cards, which I don't have because they're in the classroom. They're, the laminated cards with A, apple, A, E, ed, examples like that. So we just reviewed our vowel sounds. He did really well with that. And then we just talked about the difference of short A and long A. And it seemed to help with him to remind him to say the name of the actual letter, because he was having a hard time remembering the difference between a short vowel and a long vowel. So if he wanted to say A instead of A for the letter A, I just prompted him to say the actual name of the letter. And that was the long vowel sound. So that seemed to help him throughout the learning segment. But I started off the first lesson with I showed him picture cards with silent E words like cake and kite and ape, and kind of went through them, showed him the word, showed him the picture so he could make a reference between the two when he saw the word later on in the matching and the bingo. He did a good job reading the words. I think right off the bat it helped him with the pictures to kind of prompted him. And we talked about how the E at the end makes the vowel say its name. And I kept reassuring him that it's, the long sound of a vowel is its actual name. And it helped him remember that as well. So we did that for a while, and then we decided I gave him word cards without the picture to see if he could maybe match them up with the correct picture. For example, I gave him the word card for bake, and then he had to match it up with the picture of somebody baking on one of these cards. He did an okay job with that. He still we've been focusing so much on short vowel sounds in the past couple of weeks, so I think it was still kind of in his head. So it took him a while, but with prompting, which is something that he needs anyway, as per his IEP, he was able to correctly match them up and then also read the words without the pictures on it. After we did that, part of his assessment for lesson number 1 was we played a bingo game. I had counters, and then I showed him the picture without the word, and he was able to put counters on the mats where he thought the word was. He did pretty good with this. Again, he needed prompting, but that's something that his regular classroom teachers give him anyway. So he kind of looked for it, but at the same time he did pretty good with the silent and magic E. He seemed to do a lot better with the vowel digraphs. I think because they're together in the word, he was able to see them better for here, he kind of sounds them out or taps them out. So the first thing he wants to do is say a instead of looking to the end of the word to see the silent E to say a. So that was for lesson number 1. For lesson number 2, I used the picture cards as well, except this time I used the picture cards that had the vowel digraphs. For example, teeth. What we did was we practiced boxing the vowel digraphs to show him that these 2 letters put together say the name of the first letter in the digraph. For example, E, the first letter is E, therefore these 2 letters have the long E sound. And I kind of showed him by putting the line on top of the E that is our long E. And then we also kind of did a little added bonus. A couple weeks we've been working on consonant digraphs, so he wanted to underline his consonant digraphs to just show his learning, which was really good. So we did the same thing for Jeep. And then we looked at words like goat, and we did the same thing where we boxed the 2 letters, the 2 vowels, and I kept, prompting him and letting him know, say the name of the first letter in the digraph, in the combination, and he would know that O-A is O, long O for loaf. Well, not loaf, goat. So he actually did a lot better with these, like I said before. I think it was easier for him because they're together and we could box them, and he's kind of a visual learner. So by boxing them together, it was easier for him than to have 2 letters separated by a consonant. So we did that, and then we did a matching game with word cutouts for the double digraph. So I would show him the word, and then he would have to go find the picture and kind of match them together. And then for that, I decided to kind of do a review spelling test. So I gave him a spelling test like this. He had to look at the pictures and then spell the words. For example, this had to do with the bossy E, the silent E, the magic E. There's so many different ways that we call it. So for example, home, he had to write it himself. I did prompt him on this as well, but he actually did a very, very good job on his own. He kind of, once he got to the bottom of the page around this area, he kind of got the hang of it, realizing that because he kept saying the long vowel sound, there had to be an E at the end. For bike, he actually originally spelled it B-I-C-K. And then he thought about it, so he actually self-corrected himself, erased it, and wrote B-I-K-E. Again, we've been working with consonant digraphs, so he heard the K sound at the end and automatically thought it was C-K instead of the K-E. I crossed these out for him because I thought it was too much, and these 3 pictures have a soft C that says S, and I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to recognize that. Right now we haven't really worked with that quite yet, so that's why I modified this assessment and I crossed out those letters. For the last lesson in the segment, we did a review. I showed him picture cards again. This time, instead of showing him the cards with the words on them as well, I decided to just show him pictures and then say the name and then spell it for me orally. As per his IEP, a lot of it is for him to express things orally. And then also as per his IEP, which is a second learning target in my learning segment, is part of him writing neatly and legibly. He often rushes, wants to get things done, but I kept stressing the fact that he needed to make sure that everything was neat and carefully written. So I had him pick 2 words for each. So 2 words for silent E and make a sentence. So he came up with, I ate a chocolate cake. We actually didn't use this word ate at all in our learning segment, so I thought that was really clever of him that he came up with that word on his own by just hearing the long A and ate. I wrote it for him first because I thought it would be easier for him to be able to write it neatly, and that's also a modification in his IEP. So I wrote it for him on a sentence strip, and then I had him box the letters, or I should say the words that have silent E at the end. So he boxed 8 and he boxed cake. And then I had him copy it down himself and write it on a piece of paper. And then he did the same thing as well. He boxed his 2 silent E words. And he also underlined his digraph, CH here, because that's what we've been working on. And then I had him pick 2 words with a double vowel combination. He picked beach and pail, and he came up with the sentence, I went to the beach and played with my pail. So we did the same thing for this sentence. He boxed beach and he boxed pail. And he was actually able to tell me what EA and AI said at the end of the 3rd lesson. So he made excellent progress. He definitely struggled more with the silent E, magic E, and did a better job with the double vowel digraphs. And then there's his second sentence. So as you can see, his handwriting was very neat. He has very good spaces between his words. So it was a lot easier for him to copy it off of the sentence strip rather than to kind of come up with the sentence, remember what it is he said, because he often has hard times thinking of the sentence and then remembering what he thought of, and he ends up writing a sentence that it wasn't what he thought of. So this helped him a lot with writing neatly and getting all his thoughts down on paper. So that was my learning segment. He really did a good job. Again, struggled more with the silent E. But overall, I think he made good progress from the very beginning to the end. And he met all the goals that I had for the learning segment, especially my secondary goals as far as the neatness. I had another secondary goal as far as him staying calm and focusing and following directions. He did a really nice job with that. I think the 1-to-1 ratio and a quiet classroom helped him with that. There weren't any distractions around or any other kids to kind of set him off. So overall, it was a very successful learning segment. Thank you.